How are y'all?
Great.
How many of y'all just attended that the broker meeting? Okay. Did you attend it, Vicki? Ashley?
No, ma'am, I was on a phone call.
Ashley?
No, ma'am, I didn't make it.
Okay. They are pre-recorded. They'll be in the Texas group. I recommend y'all listening to it. It's the same thing I talk about all the time, which I'm going to kick off my lead gen stuff coming up pretty quickly. Guys, I cannot stress enough on lead gen how easy it is. Like, companies make it so difficult, so extremely difficult. Do cold calling, do door knocking. There's some simple things that you can do every day that will keep your sphere of influence very much your top of their mind. And she threw out some really great things. I mean, it was kind of like listening to me in some of it. It wasn't much different. She had some new ideas that I really liked. But if you're struggling for listings and you want listings, like, how many of y'all have created a resume to send to attorneys for divorce or probates? I mean, we're good listing agents. Most of us have had a lot of listings. Why not do a one-page letterhead with a quick resume of how many listings you've taken, how much you've sold, that kind of thing. And if you don't have those stats, then just, talk about how you're looking to, that you do this, you work for EXP, you have the Zen list, which is exclusives. You can throw it out there before ever putting it on the market at all. So you kind of build upon what we have at EXP. Those, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and my question to them was, how much do you actually utilize what EXP has to offer? And the answer was very honest, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm like, God, man, it's free. I remember when I was at a boutique brokerage, I had to pay for all this stuff. So, and I'm not saying utilize everything. You can't do that. You'll kill yourself. Get a couple things and just do a couple of things real well. But you can talk about Zen List, because there's a lot of people that might want to put their house on the market through like Zen List before actually putting it on the market. You know what I mean? So, and you can talk about, you have a network, and you can even break it down to how many agents, EXP agents, are in the area, how many EXP agents are in Texas. If you live in the Dallas area, you can look at stats on how many people are moving into Dallas, like where you're moving. Realtor.com has a really good, you can search out their articles. Their articles are great one-liners for reels. Their one-liners in their emails, those are trending. They've already done them. They've already done it for you. Those can be your one-liners for your reels. But that also is where you can get the stats of Colorado's moving into Dallas. Like, they keep up with these kinds of things. Fredericksburg is one of the top growing areas in the state of Texas. For Vicki, for you, Georgetown and Round Rock is the fastest growing cities in the state of Texas. So those are things that you can look at because you're so close. Look at Realtor. Make sure you get Realtor.com's emails. Sign up for them. They have excellent information that has already been vetted by people that is their job, so you can use that information. But create like a one-pager to send out to area attorneys. I'd go after probates. I would go after, you need to talk about, if you're going to go after divorce, you need to talk about your negotiating. You need to talk about your communication, because now you're communicating with two separate parties individually to get the same thing done. It's a talent. And one of the things that I would put in there is, this is how I would do this. They would be included individually in text messages, but when it comes to emails, they would be included together in emails. So I would make sure that I am softening the blows through text message first before the emails, getting them an agreement before the email comes up to where everybody goes a certain way. Also presetting ahead of time, what does that price look like? Like, what kind of, we're listing for this, but we're willing to accept the lowest is X amount of dollars. And the reason why you want those numbers is so whenever it comes to an offer, now we can't change our mind because we've already kind of agreed to it ahead of time. You know, I will provide net sheets constantly. My fiduciary duty would be to both of them. I would only get attorneys involved if we cannot come to an agreement, that kind of thing. So those are just my thoughts on, you know, if you're looking at a little bit of a different niche to bring some stuff into there. I talk to attorneys all the time. They're always asking for my opinion. I never ask them for referrals. I never ask them for referrals. And I was thinking when she was talking, why don't I ask them for referrals? I ask everybody else for referrals. So anyway, any thoughts on that?
I like the whole idea of the communication, you know, like you were talking about, if it's a divorce. I actually have a client right now that he's wanting to buy. They're getting divorced in Georgetown, or they're getting divorced. Their house is in Georgetown, but it's like the wife is just staying in the house. You know, like they're not getting no showings on it. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And I talked to him the other day and I was like, you might need to rethink this, you know? You know, you don't want to get too much into it because I'm not, he's wanting to buy from me, but yet they have another, she found an agent, they agreed on it, but I think it's an agent friend of hers. And so she's just kind of staying in the house as long as she can instead of letting them sell.
And, you know, in that situation, Vicky, what you can do is he can say, you have your agent. I've got my agent that will be reviewing the paperwork in my behalf. So that what happens there is he can ask that other agent to work with you. So now that's called transparency. So you won't get paid for that.
Okay,
Stephanie.
right.
Stephanie, are you raising your hand?
Yes. Yeah. On that, because Stephanie heard and I had this conversation yesterday. So the other agent can't say that you're interfering with the.
No.
Okay,
because
explain that to me, because if they have an agreement, they have a signed agreement that she is representing him, and then he is coming and speaking to you.
So this is divorce. Divorce is different. There's difference between representing and I would like my agent where I'm buying to look over. It's divorce. Nobody
buying, but not on the sell side.
No, on the sell side. On the sell side. So
does that have to be disclosed up front, or can that be later on?
He can come in and say, I would like, so he can actually take the offer and hand it to Vicky. He can have anybody review it. She's not getting a commission. She's not a part of this. It's kind of like a contingency. Think of a contingency. How many times have y'all gotten the other contract on a contingency and reviewed the other contract and spoken with the other agents?
Yeah. But if she is just providing, it's kind of on the sales side, and he's asking me opinions on the sales side. She's not she's just providing, you know, comps that are based on square footage. She's not giving him a full CMA or anything. And I gave him a full CMA. I didn't realize I wasn't allowed to do that. And she said she was going to report me.
So it's a divorce, and he can actually talk to his attorney and get you to where you're on the case as well. In divorce situations, each party sometimes, like she's pissed because she's a friend of the other person and they're trying to finagle this sale.
Right. Actually the ex-wife isn't pissed, it's the agent.
Well, because you made her look bad.
Okay.
You made her look bad. Whereas what he should have done was went to her and said, hey, I'm going to have another agent look over this just to make sure I'm protected. There's nothing wrong with that. As I can now, ethics wise, that's where Stephanie Wilbanks is coming with is ethics. Ethics is where if Vicky is listing a house and it's not selling and Vicky calls me and says, hey, take a look at this and tell me what my agent's not doing. Ethically, I can't do that. I can't do that. Okay. But in this situation, that's where you have to talk to the other agent and say, hey, he's called me This is what he's wanting. They are wanting a second opinion. Divorce is different, but he can also go to his attorney and say, I'd like another agent to look over this. The attorneys can make that happen.
Okay.
You're not getting anything from it. You're not winning anything from it, but he's making sure that they're not giving his house away. Right? In Travis County, I'll give y'all kind of some scenarios. In Travis County, the way they work it out in Travis County a lot of times is they will say the agent actually has to give all the comps up front. And then what they'll say is we're going to list it for X amount of dollars. And any repairs that need to be done have to be agreed upon or have to come back to the court. And the lowest price we're willing to accept. They put it all in the documents with the judge, so there's no questions. And you can have that done as well, where you can say, all right, this is what our agreement is between all parties up front. So that way, if a party disagrees in the middle of it, you can handle that. And Stephanie Heard, your guy may be the ass in this. He may be the one that's the issue, not her, you know what I mean? Like he may be the one that is wanting a whole lot more money in a market where he's not going to get it.
Right. I told him the house is overpriced. It's way overpriced. So.
And that's a hard thing. So he's going to have to take that information back to his attorney and to say, this house is overpriced and I want it reduced. Y'all, I've worked a divorce situation where I worked a house for a year. I had a buyer that came in. The buyer could not come up with the financing and what they wanted. They removed me. One of the wife got pissed because she found out the husband was talking to me too, which they have the right to do that. She asked for me to be removed from it. They removed me. And 2 days later, the buyer that I was working with bought the property. And I didn't get the commission. So, but what they had done was they had gone to court at that point, and the court appointed who the realtor was going to be. So I think so you have to be kind of very careful. In that situation, Stephanie, I wouldn't have handed him the comps. I would have said, hey, let me talk to your realtor if you want me to, but your house is overpriced. And your house is probably overpriced by $20K. I would have given 20 to 30K, whatever. That's what I would have given him.
Right.
And all you have to say is he asked me for it to take to his attorney. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. He has the right to be protected, regardless if he's under an agreement or not. But why did they agree to list it for that?
I don't know. It's way overpriced. They've had like 2 showings in 160 days or something. Needs to be staged. Like there's all these things that I could have done better. And Ryan knows that, but they're already under contract. So it's okay.
Oh, so they're under contract to list it or under contract?
No, sorry,
to sell
under listing agreement. Yeah, with her to sell it.
So they can cancel it. If she's not willing to do those things, they can cancel it. Now that's where she's pissed because she feels like you're coming in to take her job versus, hey, let's look at this. When I say look at this, I'm talking about an actual offer comes in or whatever.
Right.
You do have to be careful, Will Banks. You do. It's the way you word things and the way you do things, but there has to be communication with the other agent up front. And the whole goal is to get it to closing. And in a situation where they can't get it to closing, sometimes bringing another agent in as a mediator, it works. Divorce is different than anything else. And it's hard. You have to have thick skin. They're screaming and yelling at each other all the time. They always think the other one is trying to screw the other one. Like I'm telling you, you don't take these unless you've got the ability to, you got some thick skin, because it'll beat the crap out of you.
Look at Paris.
They'll get burner phones. They'll get burner phones and text you off of burner phones and say, I never text you. Don't you give my ex-husband this. It gets intense. And I'll tell you, I much rather do probates than do divorce. Divorce is like, sometimes I don't have enough. I have too much gray hair as it is.
So
Anybody else have any comments?
Our team policy is if we have a divorce, another teammate after the last one, we co-list we co-list and one agent can take the wife and one
Yeah.
agent can take the husband, because otherwise that, like, I really,
I'm out.
and y'all, it can get really slippery with one being like, oh, well, I mean, they can say anything. So they have to feel like they really have somebody that's on their side and understands and is willing to get it to the table.
That's the key right there. Because in your case,
Sure.
Heard, that guy he just wanted a second opinion. He wanted a
Yeah.
second opinion on, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
this is what's happening. And obviously my realtor's not listening to me.
Yep.
You know,
Which is valid. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
which
not
is-
trying to take her job. Like, and I've
Yeah.
made it clear, I'm not trying to take her job, but he needs to go back and to her with this information and say, this is what I want, you know, but
Yeah.
don't say it's from me.
and if he says it's from you, then it is that another realtor came in. Yeah,
Right.
it's more an advising type role. You know,
Mhm.
let's look at this contract. If once we get it under contract, how does this benefit me? You know, or Vicky, you can look at it and how does this benefit?
Mhm.
And then say, hey, I would look at, ask about this section and this section. And so a lot of times when I have people come to me and say, once you look at this listing, it's not moving, and my agent, it's not, this is what I've told my agent. I listen to what they say first. And sometimes I just say, listen, you're wrong. And other times I'm like, this is what I would do differently.
Mhm.
Ask
Right.
them to add a virtual tour. Ask them to add this. Ask them to drop the price a little bit. I give them suggestions to go back to their agent to ask their agent to do certain things. Not, I would, if this was my listing, I would do it this way. You don't want to communicate it that way, you know, because it's not your listing. And I preference with, I shouldn't be having this conversation with you, to be honest, but I will tell you what's missing on this listing. And then
And
what ends up
that-
happening is they go back and they ask those things, and those things get done or they don't get done. And then from there, you might end up with the listing and you might not. You know, you're advising, but you're not trying to take it. And never
you
trash
can
another
advise-
agent.
Right.
Sorry. So you can advise from a distance.
Very carefully, Paris. Very
Okay.
carefully.
Because I thought you weren't allowed to say like anything. It was just speak to your
You know,
agent.
you
Okay.
need to-
Off the
you need-
record.
You off the record, I don't mind looking at something and saying, hey, they got the address wrong. Hey, I would switch out the first picture.
Okay.
Like, you're not talking about your agent sucks. Your agent isn't doing this right. Like, this could be a couple of things you do, or your agent's doing everything they're supposed to do, but dude, you're so overpriced. You know,
Yeah.
so advising from afar, and you don't want to do it with just anybody. Like, a lot of people, I finally told the last one, you're always asking me to advise you because your agent can't get it sold, but yet you won't switch agents. I'm done. I don't know what to tell you.
Mhm.
But I always ask questions like, well, do they have a virtual tour? What do the pictures look like to you? Where are they advertising it on social media? So I don't go look at the listing. I just ask the person these questions. These are the questions you need to be having with your agent. Stephanie, you want to add to that? Will Banks? Will Banks is different than me. I will push the buck, guys. I've done this for 8 years. I'll push the buck a little bit. Will Banks is going to sit right on total safe, right? That's how we are completely different. But
I walk, I assess risks. There's some
Right
things
there.
I think I called you a couple of weeks ago and I was like, okay, which rule does this break? Is this a TREC rule or is this a not rule? Like what rules
Yeah.
here?
yeah,
You know, and it's not even necessarily breaking the rule. It's just,
I will tell you what, I will never run a comp for a client that has a house listed. I will never run a comp. That to me is crossing a line. I may look at that and go, oh yeah, it's overpriced. You need to talk to your agent. I will never run a comp. I may just look at it from the eyes of a consumer. You know what I mean? That's a little
and
different.
when it comes to clients, I think most of the lines that I dance on are marketing related.
Me too.
I'll dance on those lines.
Yeah. But Heard, I would never run a comp for somebody that has another agent.
Okay. Yeah, he was living with us at the time, and I mean,
Oh,
he's like
well.
one of our really good friends, and I was like, let me just run it. But then he
Yeah.
went and told her, well, whatever, it's fine.
Well, all you have to do is say, please understand he was our roommate. Like, I wasn't a realtor at that time. You know what I mean? Like, you can dance around it. She's just pissed because she's trying to get top dollar. Okay, guys, let's talk about buyer's agent commissions. Okay, so one more week into it. Has anybody done have y'all watched any of the EXP videos?
I watched all of them whenever we did all of the things,
All the things. Okay, this is our team.
but I
Tammy.
haven't watched anything. I haven't followed up since then.
So here's I don't know if y'all heard, November more changes are coming in November. Yep, we're gonna do some more changes. I feel like, to be honest, EXP is so far ahead of it, those changes will not affect us. And that is what I've realized about EXP the entire time I've been here is TREC and TAR get caught up, but if we're following what EXP says, we're already way ahead and it does not affect us at all. So remember that. Okay, so first I want to talk about steering. Can y'all see this post right here? If you're on your phone, this will be very hard to see this presentation. So if you need me to email you the link so it's on your computer, and what you can do is you can run your computer and your phone at the same time. If you're requiring on your phone to have the audio, you can do that. You just have to mute and all that stuff. But if you can see this is good. So steering, don't stand for it. This is a NAR rule. This is where Stephanie says it's a NAR rule or a TREC rule. Number 49, what is NAR's policy on steering buyers based on the amount of broker compensation? Under NAR Code of Ethics, steering buyers based on broker compensation is prohibited. In other words, you cannot not show them a house. Realtors must pledge themselves to protect and promote the interest of their client, putting the client's best interest before their own. A realtor must never put a broker compensation before their client's interest. Realtors must be honest and truthful in their real estate communications and must not exaggerate, misrepresent, or conceal pertinent facts relating to the transaction, including the facts about broker compensations. If a realtor does anything to put their own or other broker's compensation before their client's interest, they are violating the primary code of ethics and potentially violating the broker's fiduciary duty to their client. Depending on the broker-buyer relationship, that's the forms you have signed, and state laws. Okay. All right. Buyer's toolbox. I want to know honestly, who has actually looked at the buyer's toolbox? Okay, 1, 2. All right, 3, 4. Guys, I cannot stress enough. It's here. It's all here. It's all good. I absolutely love it. Okay, so in the buyer's toolbox, there is a recording that explains it. There are slides that you can download and read. Here's our table of contents if you just need to click on and bump down to it. Resources, utilize our forms for success. EXP is already saying, if you utilize EXP forms over your state forms, you're going to have more success, okay? The state forms have, they're a one-step-all form where you have to check off boxes. And when you check off boxes, that's where I get confusing. I'm like, now what does this, which one am I supposed to be checking?
Guys, the EXP forms are so much easier. They're easier for us, but they're also, the language that is used is so much easier for consumers to understand and know what they're signing. I love them.
Okay, so utilize our forms. We'll go down there in a second. Use this frequently asked questions. Let's look at this first. What should you know? So bottom line is you're guiding the buyer's experience. Buyer's agents offer invaluable guidance through the home buying process. I want to see a property this weekend, but I want to understand my options. What should I do? Contact the agent you've been working with or begin interviewing agent that you can still show properties. Okay, what's really cool about this frequently asked questions is you can print this off and you can hand this to them. You can send this to them by text message when they start asking about, they want to see properties. What changes on 17th? Begin the 17th, all agents will need a buyer representation agreement to show you a property. The practice is already in place in many markets and will now apply across the country. What is a buyer representation agreement? The buyer representation agreement defines the scope of work your agent is going to provide, including the contract duration, services, and compensation. This means you will know the services and cost upfront with the agent you've chosen to represent you. Will I have to pay my agent out of pocket? Not necessarily. There will be a variety of options available to you. For example, many buyers will ask the seller to credit them at close of escrow to pay their buyer broker fees, while others will ask the sellers to pay their broker fees directly out of pocket. This is a great form that I would be sending. I don't have to explain it. This explains it. Okay. It's in the toolbox.
Where did you find that one at? I'm sorry, I had moved over and it took me somewhere
You're
else.
okay. So when you come into the toolkit and you go down, this right here, the next section is resources. Number one,
Gotcha.
utilize our form. Number two, uses frequently asked questions.
Gotcha.
FAQ.
Thank you.
Number three, use this one pager. So here's a beautiful one pager that you can print out to hand to your buyers. So this last week, I met them at the first house. I had the buyer broker representation form. No, I had the long form that EXP uses, not the short form. Short form is for one property. Long form is for geographical area. I put Burnett County. Okay. I put the term on this agreement for 1 year. 1 year. They can cancel this agreement at any time. But in this market right now, I have some buyers that are taking 3-4 months.
Yes.
I put all of this stuff in here. The buyer is a party to, there's a question, number 5, buyer is a party to, you're going to insert a number, active, non-exclusive buyer broker representation agreements. They could have signed 1,000 one-liners, right? But now we're seeing houses that have nothing to do with that. So really y'all need to watch the video on these 2 forms to figure out how you would answer this. Okay. The broker fee, you got 2 boxes. Check box is a percentage, check box is exact. If you decide you're only charging your people $5,000 no matter what, you would put $5,000. Number 1 is percentage of the gross price of the property as defined in the final settlement. Then on the second page, it's like it says, how are we going to collect these fees? It also says you may be paying these fees. Additional terms. If they tell you, we do not want to see any houses that the seller is not providing the compensation, you can write that in there per them. However, please understand that listing agent does not have to tell you what percentage they're paying. Okay, it's negotiated. So buyer's roadmap, meet with the real estate professional, discuss the type of home you're looking for, the style, the price, location, take the time to formalize the partnership by signing a buyer representation agreement. So these people that I showed the other day, they let me know the night before they wanted to see 16 houses the next day.
Holly.
Mother trucker. So I didn't have time to go through all of this with them because they wanted to see 16 houses the next day. So I had this filled out. I had my paperwork filled out. We met at the first house and we did it on the back of the truck. We did the paperwork. If they're not willing to sign at the back of the truck, guess what? Now, I could also have sent it to them, but they sent it to me while I was at the restaurant. So this was not the perfect scenario. However, I have a relationship with them. So I know, it's going to be what it's going to be. Get pre-approved. You will need pay stubs, W-2, bank statements. This had already happened. Number 3, start searching for homes. Advanced search. Not all real estate websites are the same. Your real estate professional has tools and systems to ensure you see every available home that meets your criteria. My website's not enough. For some reason in our area, every agent in every MLS is listing in our area. Sabor, Syntex, Abor. It's just hard. It blows my mind. Half of these agents have never seen these houses in person. and they're hard to get into when they don't. So this is where I'm going to set them up with Zenlist. Okay, Zenlist is where I want, or I'm going to set them up with realtor.com and say, I need you to be searching here and send me the actual listing so I can see what MLS and what MLS it's in and what MLS number so I can pull it. And number 4, make an offer. Number 5, we're going to negotiate. In most cases, the contract provides you with the timelines to obtain financing as well as times to inspect the physical condition of the home. Your real estate professional will inform you of your rights and responsibilities related to the contract. We're talking about negotiating commissions. Number 6, we're going to go in escrow. We're going to do final details, prepare for closing. You're a new homeowner. This is given to you. It is branded for you. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? Okay. There are scripts. So here's a script for a buyer consultation. Why should I hire an agent? And then it just talks about hiring a buyer's agent is like having a home buyer guru by your side. They know the market inside and out. They're helping you find the right home and get it at the right price. They guide you through every step, negotiating deals, handling inspections, smoothing out paperwork, and essentially they make the whole process less stressful, ensuring you land your dream home without overpaying or getting bogged down in the details. We handle the complexities so you can focus on making memories in your new home. Because together, we're not just buying a house, we're helping you make a new home. So then the response options from the bullet form. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me look. Okay, when you're stepping into the world of home buying, having the right support makes all the difference. Here's why choosing a buyer's agent can be a buyer changer. So home buying guru, it tells all these different things on what they do with the right agent by your side. So it just breaks it down. Response option number 2, when you hire an agent, not me, but an agent. So you're saying an agent, right? It's not when you hire me. When you hire an agent, you're hiring an advocate who will guide you and work on your behalf and help you through every step of the way. We offer more than what you can just find on Google because that's on the market every day. So you're really nailing down these responses and these scripts on what fits you, okay? I'm going to let y'all take a look at those. I'm going to let y'all look at those, okay? Learn to articulate it. The more you can articulate your value, the easier it is. So let's see. Heard, I'm going to use you. All right. So you're the home buyer. I am the broker. I'm the agent, right? I'm going to have to I have to have you sign one of these. If I don't get you to sign one of these, we don't get to see houses. Okay. Now you're going to be a client that doesn't want to sign one. All right. No matter what, you are not signing one of these. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Stephanie. I'm so excited that you sent me those 3 properties that you want to see. Tell me what you like about them.
I like the area, the school district, 3 bedrooms, close to my work.
Great, great. Okay, and what is your timeline to get into this house?
6 months.
6 months. Okay, so it takes about 45 days with financing. I saw that you want to do conventional. You're already pre-qualified. That's amazing. It takes about 45 days from start to end to actually get in that house. So we have got quite a long time to actually continue to find houses, and you only sent me 3. Are you thinking that you just want to see these 3, then after that you want to decide what other houses you want to see?
Yes, I'm just starting, so I just kind of want to see what's out there right now.
Perfect. Well, okay, that sounds great. So let's just go over a couple of things here. These are the housekeeping things just to kind of, for you to help understand my fiduciary duty to you if you are my client. At this moment, you are my customer. The sad thing is there's a change that happened on August the 17th where customers no longer exist in the real estate world. Did you hear about that lawsuit?
Yes.
Okay, well, most people did on the media, and they made it sound super confusing, super stupid, and the media just puffed it up way more than it needs to be. What it essentially means is I cannot, not only me, but agents in general can no longer show houses without a buyer broker agreement. Have you ever signed one of those before?
No,
Okay, yeah, so you're not actively in a broker buyer agreement with anyone.
no.
Okay, perfect. Well, what a buyer broker agreement is it says that I'm going to work for you. Have you ever had to hire an attorney?
Yes,
Did you have to pay a retainer fee when you hired that attorney?
yes,
And then they charged you per hour, right?
correct.
Well, the cool thing is I personally don't charge a retainer fee or pay per hour, but where I get paid is at the end when we hit closing. So those 3 houses, the other day I showed in 2 days time, I showed 22 houses to someone. I spent 16 hours. That was just showing houses. Prior to that, doing my research at home, helping them get pre-qualified. I had another 4 days involved in all of that. So at this moment, I've already worked for that client over 40 hours. I'm pretty much sitting at 60 hours. Do you, tell me real quick, remind me, do you work for someone hourly or salary?
Salary.
Salary. Okay, so you know how it is. You're going to get X amount of dollars regardless of how many hours you work, correct?
Right.
Well, for me, it doesn't matter if I give you 300 hours over the course of this 6 months. My compensation that I ask for is 3% at closing of the cost of the home.
Okay.
Now, some of the questions I've been asked is, well, what do I do for that 3%? So there's a whole lot more to buying a home than just unlocking a door, taking a tour, and then doing up some paperwork. There are working with inspectors, there's working with county codes. If there's an issue, it's working with you with vendors to come up with the right cost, because I want to try to get you into a house for the less amount of money. You don't want to be paying what they offer. We're going to try to pay much less. If we can, we're going to work through that. How does that sound, getting a house that you love for not top dollar, but the cheapest price we can?
Good.
Yeah, it's kind of what we want, right? We want to make it a home. So the buyer tenant rep agreement says that I represent you and my fiduciary duty is to you. So let's say that we look at a property and the septic has been put in incorrectly and there's something wrong with that and no permits, that I'm going to be working on your behalf to make sure that that septic is brought up to code and now has permits before we close. Because if you're not represented by anybody, then what ends up happening is you're an unrepresented buyer and the seller doesn't have to tell you these things because you chose not to be represented. And when you go to sell that house later on, or an issue happens at that house, if not all of these things are covered while we're going through the contract before closing, you now are grandfathered in, and that problem is your problem.
Okay.
Sometimes there's nothing. I've been on some cases where it equals $45,000 to a client. It just depends on where it lands at. But because being a realtor, my expertise is in this area, the 3% at closing is actually paying for my expertise. Now, how do you pay for that? There's a couple different ways. And on this form, I can read this to you. We can do a credit to the buyer at closing. Buyer may choose to negotiate that the broker fee to be paid in whole or in part by the seller. So we're going to negotiate the fees in our offer contract. And when we negotiate the fees in our offer contract, what ends up happening is it's a negotiation. So my goal in the negotiations is I'm going to try to negotiate the whole 3% that the seller pays for it. But in the event that they don't, and typically what I'm noticing now is if you come in with a lowball offer, they may not pay my commissions. If they don't pay my commissions and they're not willing to give seller concessions, then at that point, that would be up to you and your husband to bring that 3% to closing. But if we get $50,000 off the house and the commissions are only $13,000, I've saved you a whole bunch of money, right? So you're still better off if you're having to pay for that. Do you have any questions about that? No, yes, you do. You don't want to pay it, remember? I'm not paying it.
Oh,
Say,
okay. I don't have questions, but I don't want to pay that.
yeah, I don't have
So what happens if I don't want to pay that?
Well, honestly, if you sign this agreement and you don't want to pay for it, then I will do this. I'll show you the property. But if it comes down to that they don't want to pay my fees and you don't want to pay my fees, you could always, we can terminate this agreement and you could go in as an unrepresented buyer.
Okay. Okay. I can terminate.
Okay, now tell me, you're not, yeah, go on and tell me you're not signing this form no matter what.
Okay, I'm not signing.
Okay, can you tell me why?
I
Make it up.
Okay. I just don't feel comfortable with signing and coming out of pocket with that extra money.
I completely
If they don't.
understand. I completely understand. I've already presented the trifold form to you on buyer's representation. Let's look at that again. Are you okay with not being represented by a real estate agent?
Do I say no or yes? No. Oh no.
Okay, so you're not comfortable. You want an agent, but yet you don't really want to pay. So you know what? Let's do this. Why don't we do the single property form? And under here, there is a, do they not have showing services on? They do not have showing services on the single property form. Look at that. So just XY, TREC has a showing property. Like you can do one and I can be paid $100 to open a door, $100 to open a door. So I can open doors and hopefully build a relationship and then move it over and amend it. So I can do a single property one, and then I'm just going to charge you $200. But if the seller's willing to pay my commission, would you be okay with us amending this form to cover that 3% for me to be paid?
No.
Okay, so what I'm going to recommend is on these houses, go on and call the listing agent. Let them show you the properties, but please understand you're not being, and let them know you're going in as an unrepresented buyer. So you're going to be negotiating for your own behalf. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Most people that do not negotiate for their own behalf, NAR says pays 30% more for the house than they would with an agent. Just FYI. We're done. There's nothing I can do. She doesn't want to sign it. I cannot show her the property. I cannot open that door for her. Okay. Can't do anything. It doesn't matter. I am not paying you. Guys, we're going to see this more and more. We are going to see lawsuits coming up in the next year from buyers because they were not represented. So, but with me, I don't have to work for free. I don't have to. I'm not going to. I don't want to. I'm providing everything that I do for her. Now, her decides, okay, I'll sign it, but what if they're not willing to pay 3%? And I'm going to say, well, I'm going to negotiate that. If it comes back at 2, you know what? I'm going to then talk to her and say, they're willing to pay 2%. Can you come up with a 0.5%? And I will waive that other 0.5%. I'm going to start negotiating with her and I'm going to do an amendment. Harris.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Okay. How are you planning on dealing with sellers who are extremely stubborn? Like, say, for example, Heard signed with you saying that she would do the 3% and that it would be negotiated, but you know that she can't afford that 3%. So you go in, offer the 3%, they deny, you ask for it in concessions, and they also deny because they know they don't have to.
Okay. And so they counter offer back with me with a price. They've chosen the price that they're doing the house for, but they take out the concessions, they take out the realtor fees, right?
Right.
But they have a price. I'm then going to go back to her and go, okay, this is the counter offer price that they have. Let's add my 3% commission on the top of that. So I'm going to bump that price up. It's got to stay within got to stay within the whole comps. I'm going to bump that price up and I'm going to bring that concession back. Okay. Bump it up or bring the 3% back. And then I'm going to present it. Heard says, I'm great with that. I'm good with that. I'm going to present it back to the agent. Hey, he already came up with the price. We've increased the price by 3% and we've added my commissions back in. He can't complain now. He's getting what he wants. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Now I'm going to talk to y'all from a listing agent standpoint. I am going to fight for a buyer's agent compensation because I want to sell this house. If all the sellers and all the listing agents come in with this attitude of we're not paying, guess what? No houses are going to sell. They're going to move on because this is the thing. Heard. Okay, you really like this house, but you also liked house 2, 3, and 4. You have 3 more over here. They're not willing to pay the 3%. Do you want to now go after one of these?
Yes.
Most buyers are going to say, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Mhm.
And that's where I can say in my buyer tenant rep agreement is that just understand we may get into negotiations and they won't cover your commission, but we'll see enough houses. Your backup plan, we'll go after your backup plan. You can be negotiating 2 houses at the same time. And then you can terminate one of those negotiations and you can say, we're terminating. And the reason for terminating is seller is not providing buyer agent commission. Boom. We're out of negotiation. Now we're negotiating B. We can negotiate both at the same time and end it.
I saw this deal and I tried going back and finding it, put it on our group me page, but it said an agent was what they said they were doing was when their their seller said no, I don't want to pay, the buyer's agent he was like, okay, do you want to just show your house? We
Or do you
just
wanna
get
sell
a
your house?
showing service here for just showing your house, or do you want to really list your house and move on? He was like, there's 2 ways, you're either just going to show it, people are just going to look at it, and that's all it's going to be do.
Right.
Yeah, we have to be smart from the listing standpoint. With one of our houses, we had 2 yesterday we couldn't get into. They were with another MLSs. One of them, you had to call the owner to schedule the showing. He was in Austin. He was just heading back. They have a busy afternoon. We're sitting in front of the freaking house.
Mhm.
All you gotta do is give a door code. Are you kidding me? Like there's nobody in that house. But that's how the agent out of San Antonio has it set up for a house that's 2 hours from her house. Contact so he's not gonna get that house sold. The house is not gonna sell. The other agent had the house listed and he said, well, do you have a board? Well, I do, but Wayne is showing the houses and this house is in the Highlands Board of Realtors. You have a combo code on it, right? No.
No.
Oh, so what are we going to do? I'll see if the little lady can unlock the door. A little elderly lady. She fell going to unlock the door. Now they have a major problem in the house because nobody can get in the house to get the little lady up. And I'm like, okay, how about you go to our board and buy a Supra for our board? If you're going to list a house in another area, provide what you need to provide. So
put a combo code on it too.
Those are sellers. Those are not listing. That's a listing service. That's not selling a house.
No.
Okay. Christopher Waters. Anybody heard of Christopher Waters? Everybody? Paris, do y'all have Christopher Waters in your area? He's international. Interesting. He's international. Christopher Waters, what is his commissions that he charges his clients? Anybody know?
Haven't looked at it, but I know what he does.
7%. And 7%, 4% on the seller side, 3% on the buyer side. And the person in the home, the owner is the one that schedules all showings. Everything's done through them. They're just a listing service, but they charge 7% and they have houses all over our area. I know, crazy, right? And we're over here fighting for
And they
them.
don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Stephanie Wilbanks, you ready?
I think
Hi,
so.
Stephanie. I hear that you want to see a property. Are you ready to start looking?
Yeah.
Okay, you sent me your pre-qual. You sent me 7 homes that you want to look at.
Mhm.
What is our timeline?
I need to move within the next 90 days.
90 days. Okay, that's so we're moving kind of fast here, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. Okay, so we're already pre-approved. Let's talk about buyer's agency. Have you signed any agreements with other realtors or agents about representing you as a buyer?
No.
You have not. Okay. Have you heard about the lawsuit that happened?
Yes.
Okay, I always ask that question because I wanted to know, what do they know? What do they not know? Okay, she just said no, by the way. Okay, so let me tell you what happened, Stephanie. Some sellers got together. They found an ambulance driver, attorney. They sued all the brokerages all over the United States. They sued everybody because they feel like they should not have to pay such high fees on the buyer agency side. Now, how does that affect you? Well, it affects you in a few ways. The main thing is that we have to have a buyer broker agreement for me to even open a door. And not just me, but any agent. It doesn't matter who you talk to. Nobody's going to be able to open doors for you without this agreement signed. What this agreement states is that how the commissions will be paid to me. But let me tell you about myself first. This is a very slow year in the real estate market. As of yesterday, I have sold $11 million in real estate. There are agents out there that are not selling. I am a master negotiator. I am a bulldog in the ring when it comes to getting my clients the best offer all the way around. My job is to take you from A to Z in the process, meaning inspections, meaning negotiations of repairs. I'm going to check permits if we have issues, down to septics, wells, a little bit of everything. My job is to be the most competent for you so you do not have stress. Your only thing is your work, finishing up working with your lender while I'm working in the house. How would that feel just to be able to, in 45 days, be living in a house with no stress?
That would be awesome.
Right? And I'm going to tell you, selling real estate is very stressful. It's very stressful. So as a buyer's agent, I'm going to work with that other agent. That other agent will work with his seller. And what we're going to do is we're going to get you to the closing table. Now, my fees that I charge are up to 3%. 3% is my maximum. I am willing for you, because this is probably your 5th deal with me, I'm willing to take 2%. So I'm going to write this buyer broker agreement to say up to 3%. And because we can amend it later on, but I'm going to go in under negotiations and I'm going to work my hardest to have my percentage rolled into that contract cost or negotiated with that seller. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Thank you. Now, I have to be honest and transparent. If they're not willing to pay my commissions, it comes out of your pocket. But I'm going to say we're going to work some things out to where we'll get their price in the listing. We'll get it to where they want it. We can roll it into the cost of the house. You know, at the number that you're looking at, you're talking about maybe $10 more on your monthly payment over 30 years. You know, we just don't know, but I'll provide net seller sheets so you can see exactly what that looks like. And if we find a house that you absolutely love and my commissions are not covered, and you decide that that's the only house that you want to do, at that point, if you want to fire me, I'm going to give you permission to fire me.
Sounds good. But
Okay,
I don't want to
all
be
right, but
fired because there's so many contractual deadlines that I, as a regular normal person, don't know how to keep up with.
yeah, there's about 20 something of them. Yes. Well, and we'll see. We're not going to get into the whole firing me just yet. Let's just work. Let me do my thing and see what we can get done. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Are you okay seeing houses that do not pay for a commission?
No.
Okay, well, I will tell you, they don't have to disclose it because we do negotiate it in the 1-to-4 contract, but I will ask up front, but, and I will let you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See how easy that was? Know your value. You need to write down what your value is that you do as an agent. I had posted something in our Team Tammy agent group months back that said all the different things of what an agent does. Guys, don't be afraid to take these different things and put them together in a packet. Like I have a buyer's packet and I'm fixing to put these things in my buyer's packet and even digitally to send to them so they can research ahead of time. We do not do broker to broker compensation. So I have an agent called and he said, send me the broker to broker compensation. I said, no, sir, we're not doing that. That's not what the lawsuit said. The lawsuit said that the seller pays the buyer's agent, not the broker doesn't pay to broker. So can't do that, because if you do that and you say 6%, you do broker to broker compensation, you just went completely around the lawsuit and did exactly what we've been doing. And I said, I promise you they're paying a commission up to 3%, but it's going to determine what the negotiations on the 1-to-4 say. Ask for what you want. It's a negotiating line. Okay. I'm telling agents, ask for what you want. It's a negotiating line. Be that listing agent that says those same things. Okay. I didn't even ask on those 20 houses, those 22 houses. I didn't even ask, are y'all paying a buyer's agent commission? I don't care. I'm going to put it on the contract.
That's what I did last weekend. I was like, I
don't care. I don't even want to have these conversations, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in negotiation.
I had an agent call last week and had a client that was very interested in one of my listings and asked about, what's the compensation. And I said this, I think I sent you the spiel. Basically, the gist of it is, seller's very fair. They're willing to compensate a buyer's agent. However, it'll need to be negotiated in the contract. Shouldn't show our client because I wouldn't give her a straight number.
So that's steering. That's steering. And that's where we have to be very careful. And what's going to happen is Stephanie at that point. Now, hold on though. She does have the right. Did she already schedule the appointment and not show up, or was she scheduling the appointment? Okay.
She was calling to schedule.
Yeah. So please understand those agents will be out of the industry real fast. Guys, believe this or not, I take 2.5 all the time. All the time I take 2.5. If it says they're only paying 2.5, I change my buyer's agent. I've always changed my buyer's agent agreement to 2.5.
I had one that said 2.5 and I forgot that it was 2.5 and I put 3% on it. They did it. Even though on the MLS it said 2.5, but I was just, I had it automatically filled in there. And so I forgot to go back and change that.
And it's no different. It's negotiated now.
Yeah. And so they did it. And I'm like, afterwards I got my commission and I'm like, oh crap, that was supposed to be, I'm like, well, sorry.
Well, that's on them.
Yeah.
All right. So any other questions? Know your value. Like for instance, Vicky, as a buyer's agent, give me 2 things that you do really well as a buyer's agent.
Ooh, as a buyer's agent, I'm
gonna ask every one of y'all this question, so you better be thinking real fast.
As a buyer's agent, I really I go through their like once they send me all of what they want to look at, I go through there, I print everything off, I print the taxes, I have it all a packet ready for them. Like everything's completely ready for them on that house. I print off the last one I did, floodplain, I did it all. It's all in a packet for each one of the houses. I do go into look around in the surrounding areas of what has sold within the that area and kind of give them that with it, so that way they know what the prices are that's selling and what is not selling, and that way we're kind of looking at both. So
okay,
I'm
so I'm gonna summarize what Vicky just said. So because Vicky does something that I don't do. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all 22 houses, I'm not printing out a full packet on every house. I'm going to show you that house. And if you love that house, then we're going to investigate that house. So what Vicky does before I do is Vicky would say, Tammy, what I do differently than most agents is I'm going to provide you a full buyer's packet on every house with comps up front. So you understand everything about that house. I'm also going to show you, I'm going to research in this area days on market for that type of house and sold prices. And I'm going to tell you a percentage because days on market may be 160 and it sold for 70,000 under what they listed it for. This one's been on the market for 140 days. So we're going to go on and come in 30,000 below because that's what the market is saying. Okay, Heard, give me two things that are value that you are as a buyer's agent.
Okay, so I feel like I do a really good job at being present for everything that they want me to. I don't know if that's necessarily a good or a bad thing. I'm like, they run me ragged. And another, I mean, representing them and getting what they want, I feel.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize that for you. So one of
Okay.
the things that I provide value and my 3% pays for is I'm going to be with you from A to Z. There are 86 ways that a buyer can get out of a contract. And I'm going to make sure that we hit at least one of those 86 things. So the day before closing, if you want out, I'm going to get you out of that contract and get you your money back. I'm going to do everything for you. And I am literally going to walk beside y'all. And sometimes I'll be walking alone and you won't even know what's happening because you don't need the stress of that. I will negotiate and do everything that I can do to make this the best home that you have ever got, that you have ever had, and that you will hire me for the rest of your life.
Good.
All right, Ashley, what are two things?
Market knowledge maybe would be one. I'm really familiar with the area. I've lived here my whole entire life. And then me being a newer agent, I feel like I can dedicate one special interest, on one client at a time. I don't have a lot, so you get my one.
Okay. What are you, 32 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do the same thing I'm doing with everything. The value that I bring to you as a buyer's agent is I have lived in this area for 32 years. I know this area. I know the back roads. I know the municipalities. I know the different towns. I know pretty much everything. And what I don't know, I know who to go to get it. Also, I will dedicate my full attention to your contract all the way from the time we start searching until the time that I hand you the keys. And then afterwards, if you need me for anything, I can be one, you can text me and I can try to help you if I legally can. I did not say new agents.
Yeah, I know.
And to say you're from an area, put it in years. Because I can say 54 years, you can say 32. You see the difference there? So I'm from this area. I have 32 years in this area. That's huge. Okay.
Yeah.
My husband's also a contractor, so he works with most service people here. That's a big one too. All right. Paris, give me two value propositions.
I am available to my buyers, sometimes to a fault. And I'd like to think that I have good people skills and I can work with agents well.
Okay. So the value that Paris brings is she has, as a negotiator, she has the ability to work well with other agents while meeting the fiduciary duties of her clients. And she is going to fight for what they want, but in a smooth way to where it doesn't harm the sale to get it to closing. Guys, I want to tell y'all the whole I'm available for my clients. Be very careful with that one. And I'm going to tell you why. They'll kill you. They'll suck the life out of you. I finally, 2 years ago, I would tell clients, listen, I'm going to tell you, Paris, I'm available for you, but at 7 o'clock at night, my phone is turned off, and I will turn it back on about 9 a.m. in the morning. And I understand that may be hard, but I've got to be able to spend time with my family. And just like you have to turn it off at your work and you get to go home, I've got to do it with mine too. And I hope that's okay with you. If they say no, it's not, don't take that client. Just say, I completely understand. Would you like me to find you a client that is available 24/7? For instance, I will not show a house on Sunday mornings until 12:30, 1 o'clock. I will not. I will not. And I very rarely will show it after that because Sunday is it's my Sabbath. But, and I will say, I'm sorry, I go to church on Sundays. I'm not willing to change that schedule. My time with the Lord is important to me. Do you know when I started saying that, how freeing my job became and my clients became beautiful? They were good clients. They weren't the ones that demanded everything. So be very careful with saying I'm available 24/7 because you're not. So don't say that. You would say I'm available from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. If I'm at my kid's soccer game, I'm still going to help you if I can, but I'm available to, but I'm going to do such a good job. We're not going to have a lot of after hours. Stephanie Wilbanks, what's your two values? Propositions. You're muted.
Comms, communication, and strategy. And what I mean by comms is similarly to what Vicky does. I don't run full comms, but I make sure that I have a good understanding of the property, how long it's been on the market, how long ago it sold, especially with the STR market. I just make sure that I have a strategy for that particular property. And then communication, we really emphasize on being a concierge full service real estate group.
Okay, so I want y'all to take note what Stephanie did. She had 3 things. She came up with her value proposition with 3 things. What were those 3 words again?
Comms, communication, and strategy.
Okay, there you go, right there. Get it? It rolled off of her tongue. So where I asked y'all and you're like, well, I feel like, okay, so I had a phone call. This guy called me and he said that he interviewed me. He was a total freaking jerk. Total jerk. I mean, when I say jerk, my husband was like, you are not working for him. He said, listen, I think I told y'all this. I want a hungry agent.
Did he tell you that he was a jerk?
No, he was a jerk.
Oh, okay.
No, he was a jerk. He was a complete, he said, I don't really need you. I could put a sign in the yard and sell it by owner. Well, he was in Midland and we're here. And I said, okay, well, then I'm sure when you drive down here and put a sign in the yard for sale by owner, I'm sure that you'll get it sold. He's also a real estate investor. He does real estate in the commercial world. So he knew a lot. He didn't say he knew a lot more than me, but he knew enough. And then he said, listen, I'm looking for a hungry agent. And I don't think you're that agent. I said, oh, no. I'm not that agent at all. Because you will pay me 3%. And if it's intermediary, you'll pay me 5%. But I'm not that agent. And I said, but let me tell you what I'll do for you. I can send you 20 names of hungry agents if you would like. He goes, wait, what? I said, oh, I can send you names. I know a lot of hungry agents. I said, they'll go out there, they'll put a sign in it. And if it sells, it sells. I said, where I'm going to do professional pictures, I'm going to do reels, I'm going to have it on Marketplace. I said, I guarantee you I'll have that property sold in the first 3 days. I said, now, I want to thank you for your time. I said, I've already told you what it's worth. I've given you why it's worth that. I said, honestly, I've given you way too much information. I said, good luck selling that. And I'll be waiting for it to come on the market and I'll see if I have a buyer for it. I don't right now, but if it's priced right, I may find one. He said, okay, I'll talk to you soon. I said, okay. He called back a week later. He sent a text message. All right, I'm willing to list with you. Will you call me? I called him and I started laughing. I said, I thought you wanted a hungry agent. He said, You're the only one that was honest. I was told it was worth 250. It's worth 130. It's 2 acres in Kingsland, Texas. He said, I was told it was worth 250. I was told by one guy, I'll sell it for whatever you want. He said, I explained the deal. I need to sell it as quickly as possible. It's my uncle's. We're in the nursing home. This is what's going on. And he said, you are the only one that was bluntly honest with me and told me goodbye. So I put it on. We talked about price. I said, well, let's go 130. He said, well, I really want 150. I was like, okay, I'll put it 150, but I can't guarantee that I can get it. It depends how quickly you need it sold. He said, I really need it under contract in a week. And I said, I would prefer 130. And he goes, all right, let's do it. Put it on the market for 130. We get it live. It's going. It's everywhere. We get 6 calls on it. 5 of the calls hangs up. The 6th phone call, the guy says, hey, I want to offer full price for this, and you're not representing me. I'm an unrepresented buyer. Go on and do all the paperwork. Well, in my contract, it says, if you're using the EXP listing contracts, it says if it's unrepresented buyer, it shows what your commission is. So the commission I have for an unrepresented buyer is 4%, not 3%. So now I'm not making 3%, I'm making 4%. So I write up the contract. The seller gets very upset. Well, this seems kind of like optics, Tammy. It seems like you had a buyer in your back pocket. I said, no, I didn't. I just did what I told you I was going to do. We priced it right. It's still higher than comps. He's cash. We're not having to worry about financing, and you're not paying a full 6%. You got everything you wanted in this. Yeah, but optically, it looks like we underpriced it. I said, but we didn't. And I said, now, if you want to, I will let him know what your counter offer is, and then I will change the price online, and we will sit here until we can sell it for what you want. But I can't guarantee that if it sits here for 30 days at the 150 for 2 acres, I can't guarantee that you're not going to get 120 because now you got days on market. I don't have a magic ball that tells you what's going to happen. He said, listen, I want a net in my pocket 130, counter offer back. So I went back to the guy and I said, all right, this is the deal. He's pissed because it went under contract too fast. He wants to net 130. So you're going to have his counter offer is 138. We have another showing happening later on. That buyer was pissed, and I don't blame him, but he's an unrepresented buyer. He doesn't have anybody fighting for him. So he came back and he said, fine, I'll do it, but he has to sign the contract by 5 p.m. So I went back to him. I was like, okay, I got you 138. Here's your net to close. This nets you 130 in your pocket, but if you don't sign by 5 p.m., he's pulling his offer. Okay, how many more showings do we have? I said, oh, it just happened. They feel like it's extremely overpriced. We've had this many phone calls. I went through it all. He said, okay, all right, let me talk to my wife. Calls me back. Okay, let's do it. I had an offer 4 hours from the time it went live, and we went under contract in 3 days. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. So back to your value proposition. What do you do differently than anybody else? Don't be a real estate hoe. Listen to what I'm saying. A real estate hoe will do whatever the client wants just to get paid. Don't do that. It will kill you. It will kill you. Stand firm to what your value proposition is. Get those 3 points of what you do differently. For me on a buyer's rep, what I do, where my difference is 54 years in this area. Pretty much the mayor of Kingsland. Is that not a fair statement, Ashley?
That's fair. Very fair.
Pretty much. I know everybody. I can get, and I have worked with every municipality on everything. I'm on the water board. Like if you need a water meter, I'm on the water board. I know the conservation issues of the waters that we have going on right now. I can tell you when I look at a piece of property in Kingsland, Texas, that's on a water meter, that grass will not live because it's St. Augustine and you can't pull from the lake because you're not on the lake, and you can only water 1 time a day because LCRA just took away our rights. I know septics. I know the rules between wells and septics. So when you know all the details, it's not that I can print a piece of property. It's that I know everything about a property when I walk on it to know whether you're going to need a brand new septic, Or we're going to know who to get out there to get it inspected. Or look, we have an addition and I've already looked in the portal and that LCRA was based off this square footage and I see a build on bedroom here. This septic may not last, but they may not approve it. And if they don't approve it, if we don't write that contract correctly, this could cost you $45,000, $50,000. So I know the ins and the outs of all of the rules in the area. So there you go. And I'm a great negotiator. Okay. All right. That's enough. Any questions about the buyer tenant rep agreement? Study it, practice, get one-on-one with people, practice saying it. Find a friend, talk to your husband, let him be the buyer's agent, just so it starts, and read the form so you understand it all. So you're not reading line by line. You're just summarizing it. The other thing is, I think I shared this with you once before. How many of y'all have made the trifold on the buyer rep yet? The trifold that says IBS buyer representation. It has my branding on it. On the back, it gives a definite of what intermediary is and without intermediary. And then inside the form, inside of here, it says what happens if you're represented, what happens if you're not represented. And then in the middle of the form, it has the IBS, and then it says, I put new laws, that's incorrectly. This is not a law. New rules, I need to change that. New rules require buyer representation agreement prior to showing a property. These are very important. Do y'all want me to share this template with y'all? Okay, hold on one second. We're gonna do that right here on the phone so y'all can grab it. And then we're done. Okay, question and answers. What y'all got? Nothing. Okay, good. Are y'all scared? Be honest. Are you nervous?
I'm not, now that I've already done it the first time with the buyer representation form. It was kind of scary when you're just listening to it. But once you get out there and use it, it's like, it's not as bad. And I guess a lot of mine is, I was like you, I did not ask anything on the compensation. I did not ask nothing. But okay, that brings up what I was going to ask you, compensation. Okay, on some of the MLSs, especially I've noticed on ABOR and CTX, they have a box that says, is your seller offering commission or compensation?
No, it doesn't say commissions. It says concessions.
Concessions. Okay.
Concessions.
So are you checking? I mean, I've been told yes, I've been told no. In fact, I was talking to
you can do whatever you want. So you can say, let's say it's a 200, let's say, what's your average listing?
250.
Okay, so 250,000 times by 0.03 is 7,500. You can put seller is offering 7,500 seller buyer concessions with acceptable offer. Guys, you got to put with acceptable offer.
Okay.
Because if they come in and offer 50,000 below comps, now remember, you can roll that 7,500 back into the price and then give it back as concessions.
Okay. So, and another thing I was going to ask you, and I know this is in Highland Lake, so it doesn't go for just everybody, but Josh, when this first started taking over and everything, Josh was telling me, and I talked to Stephanie about it. I took it, I didn't put it on there because I was leery, but Josh told me that we could put in the, under the sold, yes, and he said, go under where it says sold. If you go under there where the box says sold, it will actually let you type in there, and you can put seller concessions or buyer concessions. You can put whatever you want to in there. And I was kind of like,
but only after it's sold.
He told me to put it in there
Hold on.
before it yeah, he said before it sells, because it will actually show up in the MLS. And I was like, I tried to get a hold of
additional comments relating to sell. Okay, so if y'all go in, I think I took it out. Hold on, let me look. If you were to look at my personal house that I had listed on 109 Twin Oaks, let me see what I had. I took it out, but I had my first line of public remarks. Seller is offering $5,000 in buyer concessions. That was in my remarks. I'm allowed to, you're allowed to do that. Towards closing cost, I said towards closing costs or buying down interest rates. Whatever they want to use it for. You can advertise seller concessions. You just can't advertise commissions.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I was like, when I talked to Stephanie, we both were like, ooh, that's kind of on the thin line. You know, that's what we were
I think I saw something from NAR the other day that said that you couldn't put any credits, or like even if somebody was offering like a bonus, that you couldn't put that on them either. I'll find it. I'll see if I
A
can
bonus
find it.
is a commission. A bonus. So commission and
Mhm.
concessions are two different statements.
It was
So-
saying that you can even do like, you can even say it was for like paint. So
That's not-
I'm
that's
I'm
not
gonna
true.
go
Yeah,
and see
that's
if I
not
can
true.
find it.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
true. In fact, all the MLSs have now, except for our MLS, Netris has
Yeah.
added it. ABOR has added it. There is a box that says seller concessions, and you can type out exactly what you want, but you cannot put the word commission or agent bonus. You cannot. Okay. But you can put the seller is providing X amount of dollars in concessions. Because think about this. This is no different than buying down points. Seller is giving 21,000 towards buyer concessions to buy down interest rate points. It's no different. That has nothing to do. And then you're rolling, then at that point, you can use that money for whatever you want. So you can put it in concessions, and then it's paid to the broker at closing. Your client just needs to understand those concessions are also what's paying for the buyer, the broker, but my commissions.
I think it's still all kind of, and I mean, I know it is. It's all
Oh.
still kind of new, and
It's
people
gonna
are still
change.
kind of, yeah. Because I mean, I have looked in CTX and ABOR, and I haven't even seen hardly anybody that's checked that box.
So I
And I'm
had
like,
one.
I think
I
everybody's
had one
scared.
yesterday. Yeah, I had one yesterday. That was that agent that with the little old lady.
Mhm.
It's the first time I had seen it. But I mean, we saw them before the whole, and we're providing 3% process. And Vicky, it is in there undersold.
Yeah,
Just
and
remember, it's concessions, not commissions and not
not
bonuses.
commissions, right? Yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's
for
what he
instance,
told me.
I have a listing, and I just put out there that we are offering 10,000 off the price if it goes under contract in the next 7 days for the buyer to use for whatever they want. Now, I didn't put that in MLS. I put it all over my marketing.
Uh-huh.
Can your Facebook say you're paying a buyer's agent commission? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Your MLS can say it. Can you get a writer sign that says 3% buyer agent commissions offered?
Yes.
Yes, you can. Can you have printouts printed out that are in a nice little plastic thing when they walk in the house that it says buyer's agent? You can have a sign that says buyer agent commissions covered. Up to 3% negotiated in contract.
But you can't put it in the lockbox.
Wait,
You
I'm
can put it in
lost.
a box. Yes, you can. You can't put it in showing time. You can
You
put
can't
it
put
in
it in showing time. If you have a Century Lock, isn't it because it's a service provided by that you pay for through the MLS, you can't put it in the lockbox?
You own that lockbox. You own that lockbox. You can put it in the lockbox. You can't put it in showing time. That's the third party. You can't put it online. But if they open it up and on the tag it says 3% buyer's agent commission covered, you can put it there. But don't forget, I'm going to tell my people, don't come at us with a low ball offer, because sellers now know they can negotiate that line.
So are
Okay,
you
guys, I gotta go. I have a meeting.
Fine. Stephanie,
Hi.
what?
are you putting it anywhere? I mean, I saw your 10,000, but are you putting commissions anywhere, like in your listings to help it, or no? To help or no?
I mean, we're all offering commissions, but I'm not writing that in anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just would expect that people are going to ask for it in the 1 to 4 contracts. You know,
Right.
why would you not?
Right.
Yeah. Now if I have a buyer that says we're paying 3% period, I'm going to make a rider and I'm going to put it on that sign. I guess I'm thinking differently, y'all. I'm not out there thinking that every listing's not going to pay my commission. Am I wrong for thinking that?
I think that way too, but
Mm.
I don't know, if you read all these things on the mastermind groups, I'm like, it's I don't know. It's not
But are they just
probably.
talking out of their orifices at this point because they really don't know?
Probably. I don't know. Everywhere I see, I mean, when I see stuff up here, you know, I see people saying, well, I'm still paying the buyer's agent. But then
Yeah,
you're on the national mastermind groups, they all are bad mouthing
okay,
everything.
again, those national mastermind groups, it all depends on who your broker is. If the
Right.
broker's not done enough education, they're going to struggle. So they're functioning out of fear. They're not functioning out of knowledge.
Y'all, and
Right.
I really think that we're the only ones that are as far ahead, genuinely. I sat in Candy Cook's class and I was like,
Oh yeah,
holy cow. And then EXP rolled out our forms and it was like, oh, we're good.
we're
It's
good.
fine. Because I feel like the forms made me feel so much more secure because everything is spelled out.
Okay, in the chat, I have a link to my Canva for the Trifold. And then I have a link to a post that I made called Flowchart for use of an addendum regarding broker fees, the TXR 2406. That form, this is used for listings and buyers. It's used for both, okay? And so I kind of gave y'all a Texas Realtor breakdown on how to fill out that. I will also say the first time you fill out the forms, it's very confusing because you get in your head. And so do not be afraid to call somebody or text somebody and say, hey, you got 5 minutes to go over this one thing. Jim Banks called me yesterday. They're submitting an offer. Tammy, I don't know what to do. I've taken so many classes, but it came time and now I'm stuck. And I said, hey, just negotiate it in the contract. And then once we come to an agreement, I'm going to send to you the form that is called dun, dun, dun. I'm going to send to you the form that is called compensation agreement between broker and owner. I said, we're going to do that one. You're fine. And he said, okay. And I'm like, don't overthink this. And he was like, we've taken so many classes and they're just getting convoluted in my head. I was like, I understand. I get it.
I think that's the biggest thing for me is that it's like ripping the Band-Aid and doing it once.
Yeah.
Because right now you're hearing so many things from different angles between like the masterminds and then it's intimidating, I guess is what it is. But I know that once I do it, it'll be okay.
I agree with that statement. I told y'all, I called Stephanie. I was like, what the frick am I doing? Y'all taking all these classes. I knew it. And I had a cheat sheet. I lost my cheat sheet. I still can't find that stupid cheat sheet. It's gone. It's stuck in one of these files. I don't know. When I lost that cheat sheet, I was done. I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And Stephanie's like, Tammy, stop. And I'll tell you, I'm not using the TREC or TAR listing agreement anymore. I'm using EXPs.
Okay.
It's so easy. And in the other, I'm not putting 3%, I'm using other, and I'm putting 3% for the listing side, 6% for intermediary, that I'm coming down under unrepresented, and I'm doing it under unrepresented. So, I mean, I'm spelling it out. And I'm even using special provisions to spell it out a little bit more. The only thing I don't like about it that I need to remember to put in special provisions is that if they cancel out the agreement, they have to pay me for my pictures, $500 admin fee, and advertising.
You don't like that?
I forgot to put it in my new one. So in our TREC forms, it says other expenses reimbursed. In the EXP one, it doesn't. So I have to put that in special provisions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing is I haven't added that yet. And I forgot about that in the last two that I did. But no, I do that. I do that. I'm not going to let people abuse me.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And I will tell you what, I will go scrub the internet and I will remove every freaking picture to where they can't have those pictures too.
Okay, one question. How are you explaining that they can cancel at any time? Just saying that they can cancel anytime?
You know what? If you decide at any time that you don't want to work with me for whatever reason, just let me know. If it's something we can fix, maybe we can fix it. But if you want to, and you can say, but if we're actively fixing to putting an offer, then you're under a contract. I mean, you can go deep, but I find when you're honest to let people know they can fire you, why would I want somebody to work with me that didn't want to work with me?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Because it's going to be miserable.
It'll be miserable. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.